This first project is called Guard Up. I've created this terrain in Unity, this island, and these number of creatures that I call banana raptors that I created myself in Blender. And they have fairly simple AI. For instance, if you get close to them, they'll become curious and check you out, but they'll keep their distance. And they navigate around on this nav mesh, and they'll actually generate their own paths. And there's specific points like right there where you can actually jump down if that's a faster way to get to their destination. And here I have this fairly simple combat for now. You can attack these banana raptors and you jump around. It's sort of very physicsy. Combat was one component of the main mechanics in this game, and I wanted something that was more sort of emergent and physicsy than something that's more scripted like an Assassin's Creed. You can see here the AI will pathfind to you, and if you are too far, it'll actually decide that it's essentially not worth it. They're just trying to protect their territory. And here we have the movement, which I'm fairly proud of. If you're touching a surface and you try to jump, you will jump sort of halfway of up and the normal of that surface. And then you have this dash attack in midair that you can only do once until you've touched solid ground again. So you can see, because you can only do it once, you can't infinitely get up some sort of surface. And you can see here that the system can kind of handle any angled surface, and it will act accordingly in a way that makes sense. And all in all, you can use this together to sort of move in a way that feels natural and sort of physicsy, which is something I wanted, something that you can go around and it's not just like stuck to a nav mesh, which is what I originally tried. And those are the main points on this game so far. Next we have this project called Neonitis. This one is more code heavy and behavioral, more generative. It's this sandboxy environment, top down, in which there's a number of species that will mate, they'll attack, they'll find food, they'll eat. And I built it in such a way that I wanted it to be very easy to mock up new creatures with more behavior, so everything is sort of built on top of itself. There's a lot of objects and classes and inheritance that plays into this. They all have this ability to see. That's something that you can ask the script to send a number of ray casts for a different angle in a specific direction, and it will return what it sees, and then you can process what you want to do with that. The combat has 4 different actions, creating this sort of rock, paper, scissors. It has this block, which takes no energy, and the block will block a strike, which takes 1 energy. Otherwise, the strike will do a damage. There's a rest action, in which you recover 1 energy, and then there's a heavy attack, which can go through block, but if you get striked, then it won't do anything, and you'll take the damage. And the heavy attack costs 2 energy. So you see here, each of these 3 guys have different behavior as to which ones they use. The one on the bottom will run away until it has enough energy to do even the heavy action, and then it will do a random action when it actually fights its opponent. The yellow guy will do 3 blocks and then a heavy, and then the guy on top will always do a strike. So it creates this rock, paper, scissors dynamic already. When something's been killed, it will drop meat, or you also have the ability to summon these pellets, and if they fight those and they kill it, then it drops leaves. So I wanted this project to be something which is very, very emergent, and through continuing to work on this, I might even create like very sophisticated layers of interaction between these different creatures and new creatures that might end up even resembling something that's not very recognizable in our world, but that everything works ultimately similar to an environment, and every time you run this it's different, but you see the same mechanics play out. For instance, the green guys usually will beat the yellow guys because they always strike, but not necessarily. So this project is called Hex World. It's a showcase of a particular type of world generation, the style of Minecraft, but using hexes. The way that works is there's equidistantly placed these particular hexes that will take in their coordinates along with a base world seed, and then use that to seed generation for an amount of wetness and a height. Then between those hexes, each hex will linearly interpolate and then take in all of the different values of the nearest one of these base generated hexes. And depending on the wetness, they'll hit certain thresholds and then decide it's a certain biome, which creates these colors. And you can see already it creates this very good world generation. And from this base concept, you can layer things on top of it, like an even larger scale thing. And then I also have these little creatures here that will jump around and be cute. And this one I was very excited about, but that's essentially it so far. This is Project Ash. I've been fascinated by this idea about creating enemy behavior that is like easy to pick up and understandable, but sort of emergent and has some complexities. So I feel like this project was the best execution on that. It's based on this story a friend of mine told about this goose that was just kind of walking around, and they stared at it, and it stared at them, and then it suddenly became very aggressive and started attacking them. So each of these eyeball things here, they will, if they see you and they get close to you, they'll start kind of nudging towards you, like you can see here. But if you go and stare back at them, then they'll freeze for a moment, and then they'll just launch at you. And I also have interesting stuff where, like, if it's behind a wall, they'll sort of forget you're there, they can't see through walls. And also, when you look back at them, it actually checks the angle. It's not enough to just be on the screen. You have to match their gaze. And I feel this, it's super simple, but it feels really good, I feel. And like it makes sense. And you can very easily use this to create puzzles and stuff where you deal with these enemies, you like dodge them, you make them go in certain places. And it's like interesting enemy behavior without being just, oh, I attack you. And finally we have ZNA. ZNA is a top-down zombie simulator. You have limited control. Ultimately, the main idea is that you design a zombie strain yourself, and then you watch it go free, and the only thing you can do to directly interact is send these flares. But what we have here is essentially just the simulated zombie part. You have these zombies, they walk around when they see someone, they'll run at them and try to attack them, and they'll even be able to break through glass. And then yeah, if they see a human, they'll try to walk towards them, but they're not as fast. And humans navigate this waypoint tree that I create by testing with raycasts which waypoints are able to be accessed by other ones, and then they randomly traverse that. If they see a zombie, they run. The ultimate idea, as I was saying, was that you have this simulated zombie DNA that not only defines what the zombies can do and their stats, whatever, but also their behavior themselves. So you could set up specific triggers, like if you shoot a specific color flare, that they'll run in a direction or use some special move. And so you try to design like behavior and see how it plays out, and create these like weird zombie things where it actually tries to make use of this human behavior in the simulation in order to, see what happens, see what's effective.